So I'm dreaming of this place. It's Leopold's Book Bar Cafe. It's the dreamiest bookstore, cafe, and cocktail bar combo you'll ever find. And it's right here at 1301 Regent Street. They've got the latest books from around the world, wines to sip or take home, and live jazz, plus open hours until midnight most nights of the week. You can grab a drink or dessert and just kick back at Leopold's.
Today on City Cast Madison. It's the Friday News Roundup. This week I'm joined by City Cast Madison's Hayley Sperling. Madison Metro says it has a handle on reports of bed bugs on its buses. A bipartisan bill would require candidates and political groups to disclose whether AI-generated content is used in campaign ads. And we have listener picks for their favorite buildings in Madison. It's Friday, November 3rd. I'm Dylan Brogan, and here's what Madison's talking about. So no one told you the news was gonna be this way. Your schedule is packed, the world is whack, your attention span is MIA. It's like you need a helpful review of the local news, so you can be an informed citizen every day, every week, every month, whatever you choose. Because the Great Friday Roundup will be there for you through winter, spring, summer, and fall. The Great Friday Roundup will be there for you from the Capitol to campus to City Hall. The Great Friday Roundup will be there for you even when these parody intros hit a wall. Bianca Martin and the share of this here podcast, Molly Stentz, are both on assignment this week, but we do have the newsletter Negus, the inbox informer, Empress of emails, Hayley Sperling. Hey, Hayley.
Hello, Dylan.
All right, you're kicking us off this week with some news about Madison Metro.
Yes, I hope you're not listening to this podcast in bed right now because we've got some bad news. Metro found some bed bugs.
On a bus.
On a bus. So Metro said they found 2 quote-unquote confirmed sightings of bugs. So that means that they spotted these bugs on 2 separate occasions in these past couple of months, but we just found out about it in this past week. So here is kind of like just a quick timeline of events as provided by WKOW. They did a little roundup. So back in September, a driver suspected that he found a bed bug in the sleep room of the Madison Metro Administrative Building, which is over on East Wash. It was not confirmed. The room was also treated that same day. Then later that week, September 22nd, a mechanic found one on a bus. That sighting was confirmed and also treated the same day. On September 27th, a driver suspected they found one in the sleep room. Again, no confirmation. They called for an inspection. They closed the room. Then in October, on the 4th, they brought a dog in to do a little inspection for the bugs, because I guess that's how they sniff them out with dogs. And they confirmed 3 locations in the building, but no visuals of bugs. So like the dog kind of like picked up on something. Then the following day, those areas were treated. And then later, on October 24th, a mechanic found one again on a bus. That was confirmed and then again treated on October 25th. So it has been a long process of finding and sniffing out these bed bugs in Madison Metro.
Yeah, I can't believe that there are dogs just locally that sniff them out. Kind of fun fact of this whole thing.
I have not read too much into like these dogs. I don't know where they come from, but if you've got a bed bug sniffing dog, I'd like to talk to them. I'm also curious as to why, and maybe you know this, Dylan, why Metro would have a sleep room, because the buses don't run 24 hours, you know? Like, I would love a nap room, but why do they have that?
Well, I bet you they're fixing them and cleaning them and getting them ready 24/7, because there's a lot of maintenance that has to go into it. And you got to feel a little bad for Madison Metro, right? Because This could have happened anywhere, right?
Yes, and that's the thing. I feel really bad for Metro. Like, part of me feels bad, that we're really even talking about this on the podcast. Like, I don't want to blow this up into a big news story because, like, this isn't like a massive infestation or anything like that. Like, they found, like, visually, whatever it means, visually confirmed 2 bugs. If you don't know, they're just small wingless insects that like to bite humans, and they feast on our blood, often at night. And they find us by using the carbon dioxide in our breath and our body heat. Yeah, so that's why you'll often find them like buried in sheets because they like it where it's warm. They can carry a large number of pathogens, but they have not actually been known to transmit diseases to humans, which I think is really important to note. So like, yes, if you get bit by a bed bug, like you're going to get like a little itchy welt. It's going to be not pleasant, of course, but you're not going to get the plague. It's not one of those type of situations.
They're like the predator just seeking out blood.
I guess they're hunting for you in the shadows, in the darkness. And this is actually a conversation I was having with your friend and mine, Madison Minute's co-founder, Sam Hoisington, about how, like, we're probably going to see a lot more stories like this as climate change continues to progress and, places continue to warm. This is not really a new problem. We did really do a good job of eradicating bed bugs in the US, like back in the 50s, because we were using these crazy chemicals that have since been banned. So that's kind of why we're probably seeing a little bit of a resurgence, because we don't use those chemicals anymore. But also, more people are mobile, more people are traveling, and bed bugs like to travel with people. So you'll often find them in hotel rooms and places like that. So one thing to do, like if you do find yourself in a hotel room and you're worried about bed bugs, is to always check your sheets, check the little creases, the folds, look for anything that is like rust colored, because that could be like a shell of a bed bug or a poop from a bed bug, which is pretty gross. But also, like, how hotels, they give you those little stands to put your suitcases on. Like, that's not just because they're trying to be fancy. It's so you can keep your stuff off the ground where there might be bugs and stuff, and keep it all separate.
Yeah, and it sounds like Madison Metro is taking this seriously. I mean, like you said, 2 bugs found. They treated everything. They quarantined. Another thing that they added that, they haven't had any passengers call in to report that they found a bed bug on them or anything like that. So we'll keep you updated. But
yes, that's very true. It does not seem to be a widespread issue. I do not want to cause panic among the people of Madison, but like they say, if you see something, say something. If you see a bed bug on the bus, Metro genuinely wants to know about it. So reach out to them online.
Well, can you imagine, like, you could see this staffer, I don't know, at the Capitol, and then all those leather chairs in the Senate or whatever just have to be burned?
Burned down the Capitol for a 3rd time in Wisconsin history?
I think that is the 3rd time.
We could do it. Let's spice things up.
I like how that's the final solution. Well, sorry, everyone. We just need to burn the Capitol to the ground to get rid of the bed bugs.
I think people would be like, yes, I understand. I don't want bed bugs. Burn it down.
All right. Before we dive into any more news, let's just take a quick break.
It's payday. Ka-ching! But hey, before you celebrate, have you checked your pay stub? Attorney Z. Usman with Usman Law says you really should. He's helped thousands of people find a way out of debt, and he wants to help you too. Here's some advice. Understanding the details on your pay stub is crucial, and yet few people check regularly. You might be missing inaccuracies, which are common. If you're paid by the hour, stay woke, friend. You should be even more vigilant. Check your hourly rate, hours worked, and overtime regularly. And learn what each deduction on your check is for, too, and if they're optional or required. Could you use a free financial health checkup? If so, visit madtownlawyer.com and schedule a free call with Attorney Usman, the finance fixer.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. That's the sound of switching your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling. Harness the best converting checkout and same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Stop leaving sales on the table. Discover why millions trust Shopify to build, grow, and run their business. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech23.
So, Hayley, there is a bill that was introduced recently at the Capitol. It's a bipartisan bill, something we don't see too often, and it seems to be recognition of what could be a big problem nationally in the 2024 election, and that is AI-generated audio, photos, and videos being used in political campaign ads.
The internet is coming for us.
The bill would require a disclosure, like the whole time this AI, they call it synthetic media. That's a new term for me. Synthetic media is used in a political ad, whether it's a campaign or whether it's a political action committee, that they have to like at Dateline, how they had dramatization, like whenever they're...
Yes.
It has to be like that kind of disclosure on the ad. But, it seems like, is this really a problem? And hey, we've already seen examples of this, most notably from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign. They ran an ad that used AI-generated images in which President Donald Trump was hugging Dr. Anthony Fauci.
What?
Ron DeSantis is really making a big deal about his response to COVID and how much better his was than the rest of the nation, I guess. But so he wanted to make President Trump look bad. Of course, what do you do? By have him hugging Dr. Anthony Fauci, spokesperson of the pandemic response for the nation.
It's like, what do you do to make yourself look better is to make up a lie and then put it on television.
Yes.
Like, what?
So there was a WPR story about it, and they quote this professor of law and information from the University of Washington, and he says, all you need is someone who is unscrupulous in politics. Can you imagine that?
Dylan, I can't. I simply can't.
He goes on to say, you just need a person who's willing to take totally off-the-shelf, easy-to-use tools and depict a politician, a candidate, doing or saying something that they never did. And you could see why maybe a presidential candidate or an official candidates committee wouldn't necessarily do this, but we have all these political action committees. They're not supposed to be coordinating or anything. They could easily just do it. So this is a statewide effort to at least have a disclosure on there that what you're seeing is synthetic media or completely made up.
I think this is a huge step in the right direction, kind of shockingly coming from our state legislature, which is something that I really don't say often. One, we love to see the bipartisanship. And two, like the question of AI for me as a journalist is one that I'm thinking of, often. Like I want to help people consume quality and informative media. So I'm really glad that our lawmakers are stepping up and doing something about it. Like I think this is so important because also like this makes things a lot easier for people to understand, like, okay, this image is AI generated. That means it's not real. So it comes out to hopefully you can inform people then on what AI is, artificial intelligence, and that it is not real. It is fake. It is synthetic. I have a lot of weird feelings about that term, synthetic media. I think in a way, all media is kind of synthetic. Anyways, that's a whole conversation for another day. But I do think this is a step in the right direction.
Well, you can see how you can make it look very real. And so Representative Adam Nylon, a Republican for Pewaukee, he's a co-author of the bill. He said, we're not looking to score political points, but we're looking at this to help maintain the integrity of our election system and make sure that what people see and hear when it relates to elections is real and verifiable.
That's huge. That's good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is good. But this AI generated footage doesn't necessarily have to be used for negative campaign ads like DeSantis trying to go after Trump with it. It could be used for positive ads, right? We all believe, I like this bill where you put a disclosure on it, but you want to hear my ideas for political candidates for how AI footage could be used in positive campaign ads? Okay. All right. This one is for the Joe Biden campaign. So AI footage of President Joe Biden at the Dane County Regional Airport. He disembarks from Air Force One without falling, and then he does a cartwheel on the tarmac.
A cartwheel into Satya Rhodes Conway's arms.
It just jumps right in there. See, that'd be a positive campaign ad using AI footage. All right, another one would be an AI footage of potential Republican Senate candidate Eric Hovde living in the state of Wisconsin.
Oh, got him.
All right, maybe we need some letter grades on this one. All right, this one's a little rough. AI footage of the Dane County Board approving Representative Sheila Stubbs' appointment to the Health and Human Services post.
That's an A+ for a deep county cut right there.
All right, how about AI footage of GOP Congressman Derek Van Orden single-handedly ending the war in the Middle East?
I'm pretty sure that already exists somewhere, and I think he made it himself.
Me too. All right, AI footage of Senator Tammy Baldwin shooting a wolf that's about to kill a Wisconsin farmer's livestock, and then some F-35s just fly over in the shape of an American flag.
Oh, dear God. Oh, my God. That's going to haunt my dreams.
And for Tammy Baldwin's ad, only Union AI will be used on that one.
Only pure Wisconsin Union AI.
All right, one last one. So the AI footage of Donald Trump teaching Packers quarterback Jordan Love how to improve his passing accuracy.
Ooh, got to get one from the sports boys in there.
All right, you're pretty kind with those, but those are my ideas for AI-generated positive campaign ads. So, yeah, speaking of like just responses, we got some good ones from our favorite Madison Buildings episode from listeners that I posted this week. Everyone should check it out. We had some fun takes there. So, yeah, you want to read this one from Alex?
Yes, I do. So Alex wrote in to say, quote, I can totally get behind dunking on the buildings that are on East Wash, especially the Constellation and the Galaxy and those weird condos with the garage doors that are behind them on Mifflin. Yes, side note. If you live in one of those, I would love to talk to you. I have so many questions. Back to Alex. That said, I think we're ignoring the fact that Hotel Indigo is actually a kind of pretty building. And it shouldn't count because it's still under construction, but the new space for the Madison Youth Symphony looks like it's going to be really cool. And not to mention all the timber building that's getting put where the old Boss Meadery was. Alex says, I'm just here crossing fingers that East Wash gets prettier. And you know what, Alex? Like, you are so right.
Yeah, you and Molly were very negative about the buildings on East Wash.
Yeah, and it's funny because, I spend a lot of time over on East Wash because, City Cast, we work out of Starting Block, which is in the AmFam building right by the Sylvie. And so yesterday when I was walking into the office, I was just kind of like looking around to be like, does this really suck as much as I said it does? And I looked over at Hotel Indigo and I'm like, this is kind of a nice place. And the construction that was being done, it does have, I think it has a little bit more character to it than the other side of the street. The Youth Symphony Orchestra building that's being built, I think it's going to be really good. Like, I think that is like,
it's really cool.
If we did like a cool new buildings next year when that's like done, like, yeah, like that's going to be top of the list because it looks super cool. So yes, no, Alex, you are so right. We could spend a whole hour and a half just talking about the buildings on East Wash. And honestly, I would kind of love to, because even you go the other direction toward the Capitol, there's also another new apartment building there called the Continental. And that one doesn't look anything like the Standard or Lyric or Constellation or whatnot. It's like big stone, kind of gives me that like bigger old city vibe, which I really like. And it costs like $2,000 a month to live in a studio there. So it's never going to happen. But anyways.
Looks cool at least.
It looks cool at least. It's a tall building that looks cool. It doesn't look like it's going to fall apart in the next 20 minutes if a strong gust of wind comes through. So okay. Yes, Alex, I would love to talk more about East Wash. You are so right.
So we had a listener, Sue, and she told us that she really likes the Findorf corporate headquarters, which is over, it's kind of by WORT off of John Nolan on North Shore Drive. And that is a really cool building and makes sense. Findorf, big construction company, they built themselves a nice, beautiful headquarters made of brick. It is a cool building. Have you seen it?
I have seen it. It took me a while to figure out like what you were talking about. But yeah, it is just that building right off of John Nolan. And I think that area gets a little bit buried. There is some like other new construction over there too in terms of like housing that's not super ugly. I've got a couple of friends that live in those buildings and I think they're pretty nice in there.
We also have Liz. I think she might be a librarian, but why don't you read that one?
So Liz, who loves the podcast, says that they were super surprised for when we were talking about new buildings that we did not mention Central Library. So Liz works at the library, but thinks that this building is one of Madison's best, especially a great remodel. And I honestly agree. There are holes in the walls of the library that are meant to evoke the lakes. The third floor ceiling is something to be seen. The views from the library are amazing, and that is very true. They really prioritized outdoor light for guests. And yeah, it is a really beautiful building. I would love to talk about the Central Library just in itself and like the public art, that big question mark on the side of it, because that caught my attention when I was a student. I was like, this is a cool place. Madison is kind of fun. I like this building.
Yeah.
And it's the library.
Yeah, Liz, thank you just for mentioning that, because I think even after we recorded that building episode, we were like, oh yeah, that library remodel was the best. I think it won awards and stuff. I mean, they did a great job with it. So yes, we also had Susan. She agreed with me about the Quisling Terrace Apartments and the Tower building over on Wisconsin Avenue being some cool Art Deco buildings. And she also said about your pick about the federal courthouse. Every lawyer I know refers to the big red chandelier at the entrance of the Castlemeyer U.S. Courthouse as the big screw, which is fitting, of course, because it's a federal courthouse.
I love that. A little play on words from lawyers. I love that. So clearly, we have a lot of thoughts on Madison buildings, and I think we need to revive this conversation. We've got more to say. There are clearly more places that we need to talk about. If you think there's a good building in Madison, send it our way, because I would love to take a peek.
Indeed. All right. Let's definitely do that episode in the future. Hayley Sperling, thank you for joining me on the Roundup today.
Dylan, thank you for having me.
That's all for today here on City Cast Madison. Bianca Martin is your host. We're produced by AKL Moment, Xandra McMahon, Molly Stentz, and me, Dylan Brogan. Our theme music is by Carl Christensen. You can also get more news delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to Madison Minutes, written by newsletter editor Hayley Sperling. And if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this podcast with someone who hasn't seen a bed bug but does have a bee in their bonnet? See you back here Monday morning with more news from around the city. Until then,